Hello, dear viewers. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's Becca from Readings by the Empress, and I want to read today on something Source keeps telling me and seems surprising to me, but I keep thinking that we are going to get more unity in this country. There will be more former Trump voters sort of on the same page with, or at least having an easy coexistence with Kamala Harris voters. Now, I think that Tim Walz said it in his speech. He acknowledged he has family members and friends who voted for Trump, and he said he doesn't really want to insult them or get into any tribalism. I don't think he used that word, but he said basically we're all in this together. And so many policies have, as he said, screwed the middle class. And he said that, people, we're all wanting the same things, essentially. So it really is a distraction to get involved in a lot of us and them tribalism. And I realized, I knew this before this, though. I've been hearing this for months, that there was going to be progress between Trump voters and Democrats. There was going to be progress. So I want to see what that looks like. We already do see some Republicans jumping ship and throwing their support behind Harris. But let us see what this looks like. Okay, we have a little bit of good news. So we're going to keep hearing it by a little bit of good news and a little bit of good news and a little bit of good news. Okay. All right, they will start doing polls on this subject. The challenge is, yes, it takes work. The challenge is it takes daily work. So it wasn't enough for Walz to say this in a speech. It wasn't enough for him to say this in many speeches. They are going to need to do a lot of work. But what that tells me is the Democratic Party is taking on the job. They are taking on the job. We don't need to vilify anybody. They're taking on the job. Underneath it all, we have the justice card. Right. Our laws are impartial. They're to be impartial anyway. They're supposed to be impartial. And I feel like this is almost saying there's just evidence mounting that, yes, Trump was found guilty of some things. And yes, he will be sentenced. And this makes more and more formerly enthusiastic MAGA folks uncomfortable. Not all of them. There's always going to be a group. Don't get me wrong, because there are some that really, 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 really like the man, and they are not so much looking at facts. That this is an emotional connection for them, but I see so much more unity coming in. In the past, we have the 10 of Cups. Okay, so this is the Republican Party, a lot of times the family. That card started meaning them because there was a Netflix documentary about the family, about, all of the Republican incubators that came out of National Day of Prayer, and then Federalist Society and Heritage Foundation and all of that, sort of like the family. This is why they vote together. They vote in lockstep together. There's a larger mission that's very conservative. But now there is a schism within the Republican Party. And not all of them, though they all used to really agree on conservatism and being okay with Christianity, conservative Christianity kind of melding with that. It's gone too far, though. It's gone too far, and many of them do not trust Trump. So now there's a schism. Okay, above it all, we have the Judgment Angel. Look for some serious one-liners to be coming against Trump. Some ideas, some things that really catch on, like the weird comment. That one was one of them. But things like that, more comments like that, more sound bites that are just sort of like making it so obvious that, yes, that the Trump of this election is not the same Trump that won the election he did win back in 2016. This is not the same man. And okay, so I see there's a soundbite that's going to come out about his age, about what he can't do, and that's just that's right. I did see this like a year ago, like a lot of Republicans saying, not necessarily wanting to be disloyal to him, not wanting to alienate their Republican peers who do like Trump, but saying, he's not what we need right now. We thank him for his time. We thank him for this and that, but he's not the same Trump. Yep. In the immediate future, we have the Temperance Angel. Okay, so this is what I see. A little bit of good news, a little bit of good news, a little bit of good news. Okay, so what can we do? We have the King of Swords. That's sort of like remaining very rational, remaining very planful. That is sort of like, yes, doing what is intellectually smart. So that's what I'm saying. So definitely, right, where we can help with the Harris Walz campaign, where we can, of course we must vote and plan to vote, have a good plan for voting, help other people to vote, can encourage other people to vote, all of those things. But really, when I saw that remain rational, remain logical, it was sort of like, put your emotion aside. It doesn't make sense to hold grudges, It doesn't make sense to vilify Republican voters or voters who voted for Trump. It does not make sense. Many of them are changing their minds. They're seeing things they didn't see before. And some of them won't. But it doesn't make sense to keep on holding that, Unity makes much more sense. Okay, what else? We have the High Priestess. Oh, yes. They're telling me there are spiritual dynamics. You're spiritually powerful. And do not feel guilty for being upset, because understandably so. Do not feel guilty for being exasperated, because of course, everybody was worried about, oh my gosh, you see what's at stake. But, so don't feel guilty for any of that. However, the High Priestess is saying some of the thoughts you think and the words you say, they have spiritual ripples, ramifications. So I am making a pledge to not vilify any Republican voters, to not talk down about them, any Trump voters, to not talk down about them, nothing. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. I am instead going to talk about the solution. And the solution for so many of us somewhere in the middle is strengthened labor unions, strengthened worker rights. It's busting some of those monopolies that are price gouging. It's bringing in more programs like they have in Europe that would help people pay for medical and childcare and early childhood education free and such like that. These are the things that will help people who are somewhere in the middle and the lower classes as well, lower income wise. This is not anything disparaging. I'm just talking low income, I should say then. Low income. Yes, this is what helps us all. This is what helps us all. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Don't worry about if there's an R or a D after our names. Don't worry about who we're voting for. Let's talk about the issues. So that's what I'm saying. Seeing things from a new perspective. Yeah, Hanged Man. And so we have a few months to the election, right? Well, you know what? I'm doing my part. I'm going to speak the truth loudly and frequently, but I am not going to indulge my emotions about the frustration that I've felt. Instead, I am going to understand that unity will be growing. And frankly, I've always said that somebody like Trump could come into power because of the growing income inequality and the feeling of Americans of not having power in our system, having less and less power in our system. And so that makes the vulnerability. That's the crack. That somebody who's willing to say, I can fix all this, can walk right through. So, yep. And I'm not going to vilify him. No. No. Divine strength and protection. We're stronger than that. We're stronger than that. That's what I'm seeing. Okay. Well, Source, anything else? That's a great big, that's a great big. Oh, government can work. Also, yes, we have problems in our government. Yes, there are many things it can fix, but please do not say things like, it's got to all be burnt down and start over. That's the kind of stuff that is very dangerous. It doesn't. The Source keeps telling me, oh no, change can happen gradually. Change can happen gradually. And please remember, Source has always told me, please remember that in the U.S., you have a lot of things going for you that a lot of countries don't have. Things you are so used to that you don't even understand how it would be to live without them. Like mail that probably is almost certainly going to arrive. Like public school system, public education for all children available. Like, yes, social service departments, Social Security, just roads departments that work, a military that works, police force that works. Are any of these things perfect? No. Are we concerned about corruption here, there, and in different places? Yes. However, it's nothing compared to the corruption that are in these kinds of departments in a lot of countries. So we do need to understand, yes, everything needs to be improved, and yes, problems need to be exposed. However, oh my gosh, we have a lot going for us, and it is important to value that and stand our ground. We're not going to lose ground in the U.S. We are not going to lose more ground. That's what he's saying. That's what they're saying. Okay. Spiritual answers. Draw upon your spirituality. I always feel like this is a go touch grass kind of card too. You know what I mean? Like yeah. It's been astonishing to me how much nature can increase my strength. I don't know if you all find that, but I feel like, yeah, is it going to be all right, Source? Oh my gosh, it can be better than all right. We get the Magician. It can be better than all right. That means that so much of what manifests is what we believe will manifest. So much of what manifests is what we put our words behind, our actions behind. So, and we can do that. All right. Well, I thank you all so much. Take care. Be hopeful. Bye-bye.